My name is Christine Marquette, and I'm a registered and licensed dietitian with Marquette Nutrition and Fitness, and I've been asked how to make a good school lunch. Few tips to keep in mind. Part of it depends on the age of the student. If we're looking at elementary school students, then you want to make sure that the portion sizes are age appropriate. You want to include some type of fruit. You can use the individual fruit cups. They do have those on the market that don't have added sugar, or they're very low sugar. For example, extra light syrup comes in the fruit cocktails. It comes in the small individual orange slices. Those are perfectly fine to include in a lunch. They don't perish easily. They don't need refrigeration. They're easy to pack. You don't have to worry about them getting smashed or squished. So that's one thing that you can use. If you're using a fresh fruit, things like apples. Again, apples are similar in the sense that they are not easy to squish. You don't have to worry about them needing to be refrigerated if it's the whole apple. So that would be a good thing to include in a lunch. Another thing would be making sure that the child has a good source of protein and a good source of fiber from whole grains. So a sandwich that's made with a whole grain bread, that will provide your whole grain fiber. The filling can provide the protein. That could be something as simple as peanut butter, or it could be some type of cold cuts. It could be tuna fish. It could be cheese, if your child likes cheese sandwiches. So there's a variety of different types of proteins that you can use to make the sandwich with. If you're choosing something that needs refrigeration, such as cold cuts or cheese, make sure that you do use a cold pack, a little freezer pack, to place in your child's lunch. A lot of times kids may have a snack hour, so you may want to include some things that they can have for snack at different times of the day. If they like crunchy snacks, you can use something like pretzels, or you can use baked goldfish. Now, these are not necessarily the most nutritious foods, but they are a fairly healthy snack in that they're low fat. If you choose the low sodium varieties, they're not going to have a lot of extra salt, and they're not necessarily going to be a high source of trans fat. Usually these things are low in all types of fats, and they are fortified with some different vitamins and minerals. So that can be a good snack for their snack hour. You could also include some types of nuts if the child doesn't have any nut allergies and there's no opposition in the school to including nuts. You could also include string cheese as a healthy snack, or dried fruit, little boxes of raisins. Now, if this is an older student, say middle school or high school student, they're going to need a bit larger lunch, and it will depend on what their activities are, if they are in any type of sports, or if they're in any after school activities where they're going to be at school much longer than, say, a younger child would be. That lunch needs to be a bit larger. Still needs to have the fruit, still needs to have the protein, the fiber from the whole grains. You still want to include some type of snack item, but again, the portion sizes would need to be a bit larger. You may want to include some items such as yogurt for some additional calcium, a little bit of additional protein. You may want to include actual bags of trail mix. This can be a homemade trail mix that you've had your own nuts, your own dried fruit in there. You may want to include multiple sources of calcium, so not just the yogurt, but additional string cheese is an example. The sandwich itself needs to be a bit thicker filling than in the younger child's lunch. So those are just a few things to keep in mind in packing a good school lunch.